And now it's time for Upon Further Review.
Upon further review,
And on Thursday Night Football, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. And this game is going to be simulcast between CBS and the NFL Network. You can catch that September 18th at 8:30 p.m. So the Buccaneers going into Atlanta as these two NFC South rivals faced off. We saw the Falcons after that big win in the division against the New Orleans Saints in Week 1. Then they went to Cincinnati and they had a disappointing loss against the Bengals. But the Bengals are one of the toughest teams to beat, especially when you go into their home. So don't really necessarily put too much stock in that as a loss. You know, you can't really fault the Falcons for losing in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's just that good, especially at home. So it doesn't really detract from the Falcons as a team. You can still, it remains to be seen how competitive they're going to be this year. I mean, that big win against the Saints is going to go a long way, especially with the Saints starting out 0-2. Of course, the Panthers are 2-0. The Falcons are right there in second place at 1-1. And then we have the Bucs and the Saints both at 0-2. Of course, it's only been 2 games so far, but now we got another NFC South game for these two teams. Is the Bucs are desperately in need of a win, and the Falcons can go a long way towards potentially winning the division if they can pick up another win in the division, especially at home. They definitely, if they want to compete for the title and challenge the Panthers, they can't afford to lose at home division games. With the Bucs, they really, they had a heartbreaker there that they lost to the Rams. They really, they could have won that game, and it's sad to see a game end the way that one ended. And then they lost that game in Carolina in Week 1 by just 6 points, because that was a tough loss as well. So it's a tough season, a tough start for Tampa Bay, but they can get things going, they can get things together. It starts off with their running game. They got to get things going on the ground. McCown, he's got to get things together. He's not putting up the numbers. He's got to air it out to Jackson. Hopefully Evans is healthy. Of course, he went down on the last play of the game. But he's got those big targets. Get them the ball. Air it out to him. And I'll tell you, they can run. They really can run. Bobby Rainey, that guy right there, he should be on Fantasy Fortunes, because Bobby Rainey, he is a threat. That guy, you see what he did last year. I don't know why he's on the third string for Tampa. He should be their starter. Of course, they got so much talent in that backfield. Martin and James and Rainey, those guys can run. You got a running attack like that. Utilize it. Let's see them really, eat up that time of possession and freaking, if you got to kick field goals, kick field goals. You got some defense there. Tampa Bay, I think they're talented. It's just a matter of time, As the season goes on, they're just going to get better and better. Are they good enough right now, though, to go into Atlanta and beat the Falcons? I really don't think so. I think that the Falcons should win this game. They should win it, actually, pretty decisively. They shouldn't have too much trouble with the Bucs. Although the Bucs, you saw last year, even without the personnel they have this year, they're a better team this year. But last year they actually almost beat Seattle in Seattle, for those of you that remember that game. And the Seahawks ended up having to tie it up and force the game into overtime before the Seahawks won in overtime. So, the Bucs, they could, go into Atlanta and shock everybody and actually make this a game. But more than likely, we're going to see Matt Ryan performing more like he did in Week 1, less like he did in Week 2. We're not going to see those interceptions, I wouldn't imagine, of Week 2. We're probably going to more likely see the touchdowns like we did in Week 1. And he's got the targets. Julio Jones is, performing extremely well. Roddy White, he's a very talented receiver. We got Steven Jackson and Rodgers on the ground for the rushing attack. Get them the ball. Rodgers has looked really nice. He's only had 11 carries, but he's got a 5.2 average. So that's a very nice compliment to Steven Jackson, who was one of the best runners. We'll see how much he's got left in the tank as this season goes on. But he's definitely a very smart player. He's got a lot of talent. He's been one of the best catch the ball in the backfield too. So I mean, that offense of the Falcons can put up some points, and I expect them to actually put up a lot of points on Thursday night. If you like seeing Matt Ryan air it out, make sure to tune into that game because he should be getting some touchdowns. He's another guy you might want to start on your fantasy team if you got him there. So the Falcons and the Bucs, this game should be interesting because anytime division rivals go at it, it usually is a good game. And it's Thursday night prime time. I know I'll be watching. Those are my thoughts on the game. I think the Falcons win by a touchdown or more. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Upon Further Review, as well as this edition of The Wedge. Thanks for listening.